Hi Carolina, here's a quick document with what I would suggest as a first start for our lead nurturing flow. So this is basically the content that we need to get started. So right now we have people coming in through Facebook, right? They're signing up, the basics are there. You can set it up so they push into Drip, and then in Drip we want to set up a workflow and a campaign for people to get started. So this is basically what I suggest. The first thing that I started with, and this is just to basically to share a little bit of my thinking, is this conversational sequencing. So basically what that means is that if you would explain the whole story to a friend of yours, for instance, that would be sitting next to you in a cafe, let's say, and you would explain this whole situation, you would try to convince them to join, what would be the sequence, the sequence in the conversation that you would use to explain them that they should come, right? So probably we follow that same conversation, but throughout the emails. So I think where you would start the conversation is that for them, they feel it's time for change, right? That's all the people that are reading these Facebook ads. That's basically what they feel. That's their current state. It's time for a change. So imagine you're having a beer with a good friend of yours from back home, and you have this conversation, and you're like, oh, how are things going? How's your job? How do you like your, how do you like life? Basically, and they're like, oh, it's like a little bit of a headache, right? I would like something else, right? So that's where we start. And second thing is yoga can bring that place. And then if you're convinced that yoga can bring that place, it's probably best idea to go to an exotic place, right? Not to be in your kind of neighborhood yoga studio, but rather go somewhere where you can really step out of your current situation and have a little bit of distance to reflect on things that are going on, blah, 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 blah. And then Bali is a really good place for that. That's probably the sequence that you would use, right? To get them to the point to say, okay, yeah, it makes sense to go to Bali to kind of make this life change. And then I think after that, it's why would you go to Radiantly Alive, right? Why would you go with us? They would probably wonder if this is the best deal possible, right? Can I get some better deal somewhere else that would be even more awesome? And we basically need to convince them that our deal is the best deal. Then they maybe have some objections, right? They're going to be yeah, but what if in Indonesia, isn't there dangerous for, I don't know, malaria, right? Or what if I get to the airport and do people even speak English, and etc. etc. So people are gonna have tons of objections, and then at the end they're gonna say, okay, fuck it, let's just do it, right? And that's basically the point where we need to get them. So this is the sequence that I want to take people through. Now, what I split out here is basically the main flow that I would propose. This is good to discuss, so I'll write it like this for now. We can discuss it in our call tomorrow, and then based on that I can maybe work it out in a little bit more detail, and you can actually write the emails. So what I would suggest is that we make these emails sequenced day by day. So that means that people get a new email from us every day, and that way we can take them through the flow in about 2 weeks. And I'll get to that in a second. So where I would begin probably is kind of Amanda's or Sarah or whatever we pick, kind of life story, right? So we take that story, it's a little bit of a reluctant hero. I can explain a little bit more about that when we're on the call, it's maybe easier. So we take the story that we told in the ads and we kind of continue on that, right? And we want to tell that story, we want to give them a little bit of an itinerary of what's coming up in the next couple of days, why they should keep reading, and all the main goal for the first day is just to get people hooked, kind of. And the easiest way to get people hooked is by using open loops. And open loops is kind of the idea that they use when you watch Game of Thrones or Lost or these kind of series, where they have this massive cliffhanger at the end of one episode, right? And then you need to watch the second episode to see what's going on. So that's an open loop, and I'm gonna close it in the next episode. So that's how you keep people hooked, is by using these kind of loops. So what we can do, for instance, tell part of Amanda's story, and then set like an open loop with a kind of like cliffhanger for the second day, where we'll, you know, fulfill that loop, and then while we do that, we open up a new loop again for the third day, etc., etc. So I would say Amanda's story, which is about life change, right? So basically we're selling life change. Then we're selling, okay, yoga can bring that change. So I'm very much like following this sequence here. And then we want to say, okay, you should come to Bali, right? So I'm not sure if we should probably touch on like going somewhere exotic and then just go straight to Bali rather than dwelling on it like massively, Bali versus India, blah, blah, blah. And what we can do maybe is just find some cool video of some like drone shots or something like that. It's probably already available on YouTube and stuff like that to get people super excited about going to Bali, right? This shouldn't be that hard. And then day 1 to 3, then on the 4th day, I would suggest that we basically pitch our core offer, right? So basically, Radiantly Alive yoga teacher training. And I think the easiest way to do that maybe is to just tell them what's going on based on our kind of like core values. I'm not even sure of like what kind of core values actually Radiantly Alive stands for. One of the things that I found online was like God is in the details, which I think might be an interesting one. And there's a few kind of values in a sense that we want to that they are not necessarily tied to Radiantly Alive, but more to like this yoga teacher training, right? So it's like it's about making this life change, it's about Vinyasa flow, it's about like being a studio rather than a single teacher, and it's about the magic of Bali. I think those are the 4 main things that basically set the core offer apart from most other yoga teacher training core offers, right? So this is something to discuss about. And then the 5th one is in a sense God is in the details, which is maybe an interesting one to kind of hint that we'll tell them about these like different themes and these 4 elements, and that we use that to polish the details and to make it the best training ever, blah, 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 and get people to day 5, which is where we introduce the water theme, right? Because that's the theme for this upcoming one. And what we can do in the water theme is make a hook where we say, okay, what I'm going to tell you in the next couple of days is the main bonuses associated with that sequence, right? So that would be like kind of like bonus 1 is for instance this water blessing ceremony, and we can make a little story about that. Bonus 2 is about practice by the sea and paddleboard yoga, which I'm not sure if we should bundle that together, but something like that. And for instance on day 8 about the bonus teacher. I wasn't sure which one is actually coming where, but that doesn't even really matter. But basically we announce what the bonus teacher is. And for all of these things we can just not make it available online, for instance, and say like this is super exclusive for the people that are on the email list, right? So this is only for people on the email list, and they get all this kind of stuff. Of course other people that would book it would also get it, but like we only tell about it here basically. Throughout these days, so day 4 till day 8, what we should do is of course have like a call to action for people to take action on, right? So one of the main things probably that they go to the sales page, and maybe there's also different call to actions where we can say, schedule a call with Amanda, or ask us a question if you have it, or a couple different things that we can probably put out there. And what I would like to do by day 8 is say, okay, are these people interested or not, right? If people have not been engaging at all with this offer, then probably we shouldn't really bother them with it any further at this point. So then they're like unqualified. So what I would do with unqualified people is just make maybe a final kind of like very explicit opt-in call to say like, hey, this is gonna like happen. I just want to check if you're like interested or not. If you're interested, click here, and if not, then that's also cool. And on day 10 we can pitch them on like the next themes, for instance, that are like further away, and we can say, hey, if you want to let like an early bird on the February 2018 training, that's cool. Then just like hit reply and we'll do something cool there, and that's going to be the fire team or whatever. And the people that are qualified, so the people that are actually engaging, and that's probably, I don't know, it's maybe 1/3 or something like that, probably the people that check out what's actually going on. We want to put those through an extra flow where we're further like pushing the pushing basically this training, right? So this is more of a little bit like harder sales flow in a sense. So what I would like to do here is combine like the extra bonuses, and this is basically the same all the time, right? That they would get anytime. So we don't need to rewrite this for different themes, and combine it with like a couple of kind of standard sales emails. So there's, for instance, people have questions, right? These objections that we need to handle. We basically want to build some urgency. So basically tell like some sort of like story that makes them feel like it's a good idea to take action right now. Here's everything that you get, kind of bundle it on. Do you have a question? Hit reply and we're gonna be in touch, blah, blah, blah. And then this kind of like urgency that the doors are closing and all of that. And what we could say here, for instance, not make it like a super hard deadline, but to say like, hey, it's almost full. If you would like to, we can lock down your spot, right? So we can reserve your spot for 7 days so you can think about it. And then if they do something like that, we know, okay, we need to get them on a call with Amanda and we can probably get them on board, right? Or not get them on board. So we can really push them to a decision. So that's the kind of flow that I kind of have in mind. I didn't want to like polish this out like all the way, the details, because I thought it'd be good to just hear what everyone else thinks. But this is basically the main idea that I have in mind. And it means that in the future, when we have a different theme to promote, right, we basically only need to rewrite, I guess, these emails, right? So it's only 4 emails that we need to write when it's going to be the air and the fire and like these different themes. So that's relatively easy and the rest is going to be stable. That's basically the idea. Last thing is that for the existing email database, we kind of want to get them into this flow and get them to the core offer, but they need a little bit of like a different lead-in, right? Because they've already been on the list, they already kind of know us, so they need a little bit different story. What I would say, probably send them an email, hey, we're doing something like completely differently this year. So we're doing like these themed yoga teacher trainings, blah, 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 all kind of bonuses, and we make some sort of story out of that. So we show this is going to be like really new, this is something you need to pay attention to, right? Because people pay attention to something that's new. And then what we do in day 2 and day 3 is still dribble in kind of like this inspirational story and this Bali story, which is kind of like a little bit compressed probably compared to the other emails. And then on day 4, where we have this basically the core offer, that's the same for these people also. So they will go through the same flow. And what we can look at also is once we start promoting the offer for the fire or the air or like these different themes, we need to think about that, right? How will we do that? So people that have already been through this entire flow, how can we make them, make it like interesting again when we have a new thing to promote three months later, right? So that's something to think about. But for now, I think this is the main stuff that we need. So let me know what you guys think of this. And I think based on that, you'll have enough to at least get started writing these emails. Yeah, that's it really. That's it. So I think what we should do is like discuss real quick before I polish this completely up, because maybe you guys have like some other thoughts or stuff like that, so we could discuss about it. And then I think I can draft it out a little bit more detail, and you should be fine if you actually write the emails, right? Then that shouldn't be the hardest part. And then we have something going. The last thing to worry about is, of course, the sales process kind of like at the end, with what we can do with Amanda, what we can do with sales page and all of that. And that's something we'll worry about next week or something like that. So it's not something for now. Okay, yeah, that's it. I'll leave it to that, and I think should be pretty clear. Okay.